want you to paint a vivid picture in your mind for a second. Imagine you're at a local park on a sunny September afternoon.
Right. Just a totally normal day.
Yeah, exactly. You've just bought ice cream for the kids. And you sit in your car, maybe like, I don't know, 30 yards away.
Which is really close.
Right. You're scratching a lottery ticket while they run over to the swings.
Yeah.
You feel entirely safe because, you are technically right there.
Yeah, you're present.
Exactly. But then 10 minutes later, your entire world just completely shatters.
It's the ultimate terror,
Yes.
right? I mean, the illusion of safety is completely dismantled in the time it takes to, I don't know, check a text message.
Or like find a song on your phone.
Exactly. It just evaporates.
And that shattered reality is exactly what happened to a 19-year-old mother back in 2019. So in today's deep dive, we are taking our sources over to Bridgeton City Park in New Jersey.
We really need to figure out how 5-year-old Dulce Maria Alavez just vanished into thin air in broad daylight.
So let's begin by establishing the precise timeline of September 16th, 2019. Because in cases like this, every single second counts.
They really do.
So we have 19-year-old Noema Alavez Perez, who was actually pregnant with her third child at the time.
Right.
She takes her 5-year-old daughter, Dulce, her 3-year-old son, Manuel, and her 8-year-old sister to Bridgeton City Park.
It just starts as a completely mundane family outing.
Yeah.
Like nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, they even stopped for coconut water ice beforehand. We actually have the convenience store surveillance video of Dulce from that stop.
Which is a huge piece of evidence.
Right. She's wearing a yellow shirt with a white elephant on it, which weirdly is often misreported on official flyers as a koala.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a koala, but it's an elephant.
Yeah.
And she had on black and white floral pants and little white sandals.
That surveillance footage is critical, though. I mean, it gives investigators a time-stamped, objective visual of exactly what she was wearing.
It totally removes human memory from the equation for that one detail.
Exactly. Human memory is flawed, but a camera isn't.
Right. So they arrive at the park around 4:00 p.m. Noema parks the car about 30 yards away from the playground. But here is the crucial detail from the park's layout.
The blind spot.
Yes. Her view of the swings is obstructed by a hill and some nearby buildings.
Which is huge. I mean, 30 yards is geographically very close, but visually, it's a world away. She was entirely blind to the actual playground equipment.
So Noema stays in the car with her 8-year-old sister. She's helping her with her homework, and she is scratching lottery tickets.
Meanwhile, the younger kids go play.
Yeah, 5-year-old Dulce and 3-year-old Manuel run over the hill. Then, at 4:20 p.m., Manuel runs back to the car alone, and he's crying.
Because he dropped his ice cream, right?
Exactly. And because he was nonverbal at the time, when Noema asks where Dulce is, he can only point.
He points toward those red maintenance sheds adjacent to the playground.
Yeah. And Dulce's ice cream is gone too? So after a frantic 30-minute search of the area, Noema officially calls 911 at 4:51 p.m.
And that 10-minute window, that's where the entire case just fractures.
It really is. Think about how quickly 10 minutes passes in your normal life. It's scrolling through a few posts on your phone.
Or waiting for coffee to brew.
Right. You put the water on to boil, check your email, and boom, it's gone. But in the context of a kidnapping, 10 minutes is an absolute eternity.
It really is.
It's like the park layout created this psychological blind spot. You feel like you are supervising because you're technically in the same geographic location.
But a single hill just renders you disconnected from reality.
Yeah, it's like leaving your laptop on a cafe table while you go around the corner to grab napkins. You feel like you're keeping an eye on it.
But physically, you're completely out of the equation.
Exact.
That is a very apt analogy. It's the feeling of supervision without the actual mechanics of supervision. And this brings us to a massive structural hurdle for the initial investigation.
The witness, right.
Yeah, the tender years witness. Manuel was the only immediate witness to whatever happened in those 10 minutes. But he was a nonverbal 3-year-old.
So how does law enforcement even begin to interview a toddler who doesn't have the words to describe what he saw?
It's incredibly difficult. They often have to bring in child psychologists and forensic interviewers.
Wow, just for a 3-year-old.
Yeah, because the neurobiology of a 3-year-old works against them. At that age, the hippocampus, which is the part of the brain responsible for organizing events into a sequential narrative, it's not fully developed yet.
Oh, so they can't tell a story from start to finish.
Exactly. When a toddler experiences trauma, their brain doesn't record a movie. It records fragmented sensory snapshots.
Like what? Like just colors or sounds?
Yeah, a flash of a color, a feeling of fear, a loud noise. So Manuel pointing at the red maintenance sheds might just be a sensory fragment.
Not necessarily a cohesive story of where she actually went.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Investigators are left trying to decode profound trauma from a brain that literally lacks the biological hardware to tell them a story.
That is so
It
frustrating.
leaves them with a massive void of actionable intelligence right at the starting line.
Which means investigators had to rely on fragments of witness accounts from other people around the park. And these clues don't entirely align.
Not at all.
Let's look at the first major lead. The very next day, an Amber Alert is issued based on information from another child of tender years.
Right, another young witness.
Yeah, and this child described a suspect. A light-skinned, possibly Hispanic male, 5'6" to 5'8", thin build, no facial hair but with acne.
But the clothing description is what gets me.
It's bizarrely specific. A black shirt, red pants, and orange sneakers. And this man supposedly led Dulce into a red van with tinted windows and a sliding door.
I mean, if you think about the mechanics of an abduction, red pants and orange sneakers are not exactly subtle.
No, you'd stick out like a sore thumb.
Exactly. If someone is trying to take a child from a crowded park without drawing attention, that is a remarkably loud, highly visible outfit to wear.
Right. And then, a month later, police release a composite sketch of a completely different man.
Yeah, a huge pivot.
They clarify he's a person of interest or a possible witness. He's described as Hispanic, 30 to 35 years old, slender, wearing a white t-shirt, blue jeans, and a white baseball cap.
And he has a goatee and some pimples or moles on his chin.
Two very different descriptions, originating from completely different sources. And the authorities tracked down every single vehicle remotely matching that red van description that was in the park that day.
And they found nothing.
Absolutely nothing concrete. The FBI eventually places Dulce on their most wanted kidnapping list.
They're basically chasing shadows in a park full of people.
Yeah, chasing ghosts. But here's where it gets really interesting. If the police track down every single red van in the area, and we know from the reports that the park was full of people playing basketball and hanging out.
Right, it was busy.
How does an abductor just evaporate into thin air with a 5-year-old child?
Well, what's fascinating here is the neuroscience of eyewitness testimony.
Hmm.
Memory is not a video recording that you can just rewind and play back.
It's not.
No, it is highly malleable and reconstructive.
Yeah.
I want you, the listener, to think about the barista who handed you your coffee this morning, or the person who rang up your groceries.
Okay.
Could you accurately describe their shoes right now?
Oh, man, probably not. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Most people can't. But if a police officer asks you an hour later what color shoes that person was wearing, your brain feels intense pressure to provide an answer.
Because you want to help.
Exactly. Our brains operate on predictive processing models. They abhor a vacuum, so it borrows a detail from elsewhere.
Wait, really? It just makes it up?
Pretty much. Maybe you saw a teenager walking down the street in orange sneakers 20 minutes before the abduction. Your brain subconsciously copy-pastes those orange sneakers onto the suspect to fill the memory gap.
Wow. So it's confabulation. You aren't lying on purpose. Your brain is literally generating a false reality to complete the picture.
It happens constantly in high-stress situations. A red shirt on a bystander becomes a red van in a witness statement.
That is wild.
And this often leads to contradictory suspect descriptions that, rather than helping, actually stall an investigation.
Because law enforcement is legally obligated to chase down every single phantom lead generated by these memory glitches.
Right, they have to follow up on the orange sneakers, even if they don't exist.
And while law enforcement is busy chasing those phantom leads, the physical trail goes cold.
And human nature demands someone to blame.
Exactly. When there is no clear suspect, the internet aims its fury directly at the easiest target, which was Dulce's 19-year-old mother.
The Reddit threads on this are intense.
We dove deep into these threads from the true crime internet sleuths, and the scrutiny of Noima's actions is incredibly harsh. They picked apart literally everything.
Every mundane decision becomes evidence of a master plan in the eyes of an amateur sleuth.
Take the family dog, for example. The family usually brought their pit bull to the park, but that day they didn't.
Right.
Noema actually called her brother to bring the dog to the park to help search after Dulce went missing. And the internet asked, why leave the protective dog at home that specific day?
Suspicious, right?
To them, yes. They also questioned why she kept her 8-year-old sister, who usually helped watch the younger kids in the car, to do homework and scratch lottery tickets.
But they are looking at the events backward, through the lens of a tragedy, rather than forward through the lens of a chaotic Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of the lottery tickets, Redditors were demanding to know where a jobless pregnant teenager got the money for ice cream and scratch-offs in the first place.
People were ruthless.
Some of the theories in the source material get really wild. Redditors heavily theorized that Noema sold Dulce.
Sold her? Wow.
Yeah, or that she smuggled her to her biological father in Sinaloa, Mexico, who, by the way, she hadn't seen in 2 years. And the theory was she did this to protect her from some sort of toxic family dynamic.
This is a textbook example of the true crime community operating in an information vacuum.
They just invent a narrative.
Exactly. When they don't have forensic facts, they manufacture motive. But we also have to look at the statistical reality that fuels this kind of rampant suspicion.
Right.
Natalie Wilson, the co-founder of Black and Missing, points out something crucial in our sources regarding missing children data.
What do the numbers actually show?
Statistically, over 95% of missing children cases are runaways.
Okay, 95%.
Now, of the remaining cases that are actual abductions, the overwhelming majority are carried out by family members or acquaintances.
So people they know.
Yes.
Yeah.
The classic stranger danger abduction, someone snatching a child from a park, accounts for only about 0.1% of all missing children cases.
Wait, pause on that. 0.1%.
0.1%. It's a massive statistical anomaly.
That fundamentally changes how you look at the public's reaction. I mean, the internet's entire mental model of crime is built on the idea that stranger abductions happen all the time.
Because of movies and TV?
Right. But because they are actually so incredibly rare, when the math doesn't add up, the public's default assumption is that the family must be involved.
And according to Wilson's research, when the family is of a minority background, underlying biases amplify that baseline suspicion tenfold.
Oh, for sure.
Minority parents are frequently stereotyped as deviant when their children go missing, facing a level of scrutiny that other parents might not.
Which aligns perfectly with the reporting we read from WHYY. The attacks on Noema turned culturally vitriolic very quickly.
It got really ugly.
It wasn't just about her parenting, it was about her background. A local teacher was actually disciplined for posting on Facebook, and I quote, "She's Mexican, it's in their culture, they don't watch their kids like we do."
That is just horrific.
It's awful. And Noema was blasted for eating a slice of pizza during the search. She was blasted for admitting to reporters that she had experimented with marijuana in the past.
Anything to tear her down.
Even the family's spokesperson, Jackie Rodriguez, received so many threats and accusations of being involved just to get reward money that she temporarily stepped away from the case.
The public demands a perfect victim. And a pregnant teenager with a history of marijuana eating a slice of pizza while her daughter is missing, that shatters that pristine image.
But I really have to push back on this whole perfect victim trope.
Go for it.
Let's look at the actual mechanics of the day. Sitting in a car 30 yards away scratching lottery tickets where you can't see your 3- and 5-year-old is a terribly negligent parenting decision.
Absolutely. No one is denying that.
But does making a catastrophic judgment call make a 19-year-old pregnant mother a criminal mastermind? Like, someone capable of orchestrating an untraceable multinational kidnapping right under the noses of the FBI?
It's a critical distinction that the internet often fails to make. Negligence is a failure of attention. Malice is a deliberate act of harm.
Yes.
They're not the same thing.
You can be a deeply flawed human being, you can make a terrible mistake, and you can still be a victim of a horrific crime.
Totally.
But the armchair detectives don't see humanity, they just see clues to a conspiracy.
Which brings us to the stark contrast between the internet's conclusion and the actual official investigation.
Right. What did the police say?
Despite all this rampant online speculation, law enforcement has never named Noema or any family member a suspect in Dulce's disappearance.
Never.
The FBI and local authorities have effectively cleared them of official suspicion.
So while the internet was busy prosecuting a teenager for eating pizza, the actual police had to pivot.
They had no choice.
They realized human intuition and physical evidence were failing them, which forced them to turn to an entirely different kind of brain. Fast forward to 2024 and beyond.
This is where it gets really modern.
Yeah. The Cumberland County prosecutor, Jennifer Webb McRae, and the New Jersey State Police are heavily utilizing artificial intelligence.
This is a major turning point for cold case investigations globally, to be honest.
Webb McRae describes the case as a large puzzle with missing pieces. Even years later, they are getting tips from across the country: Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Nevada.
It's a lot of data.
But how does AI actually process all of that?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, AI in cold cases is not just a buzzword. We are talking about highly advanced natural language processing, or NLP,
Okay. And then
and graph databases. Imagine thousands of scattered tips over 5 years. A handwritten note about a sketchy van in Nevada.
Right.
A fuzzy surveillance clip from a toll booth in Ohio. A vague phone tip about orange shoes in New Jersey.
I mean, a human detective would spend months just reading those files, let alone finding a connection.
Exactly. It's less like finding a needle in a haystack and more like having AI translate a dozen different languages at once.
Yeah.
The AI uses semantic similarity to read and categorize those thousands of tips simultaneously. It plots data points on a massive graph and instantly spots the mathematical overlap.
That is incredible.
It can flag that a partial license plate recorded near Bridgeton in 2019 belongs to a vehicle that was just flagged in a domestic dispute in Nevada yesterday.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it finds the unseen correlations that the human brain simply cannot process at scale.
The authorities are also using advanced technology for age progression. Christy Andrews, who is a forensic artist for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, studied photos of Dulce's biological family members.
To see how she would age.
Exactly, to create a new age-progressed image of what Dulce might look like at 9 years old. And this isn't just a generic Snapchat aging filter.
No, far from it. Forensic age progression relies on the biological mechanics of craniofacial development.
Craniofacial development. Say more about that.
Andrews analyzes the genetic markers of Dulce's parents and older relatives. She looks at how the jawline widens, how the cartilage in the nose and ears continues to grow.
Really? The cartilage?
Yeah, and how facial proportions shift mathematically from early childhood to pre-adolescence.
So they are essentially mapping pixels to projected bone growth.
Yes, because if Dulce is out there today, she is no longer the 5-year-old in the elephant shirt.
That's heartbreaking, but true.
The public needs a biologically accurate representation of a 9-year-old girl.
And beyond the technology, the authorities are trying to systematically remove any sociological barriers that might keep a witness silent.
This is super important.
The reward is up to $75,000. And crucially, police have continuously emphasized in their press conferences that immigration status will not be used against anyone who comes forward.
In a heavily Hispanic community like Bridgeton, that is arguably more important than the AI.
Why is that?
The fear of deportation is incredibly potent. It might be the very thing keeping a key witness, someone who actually saw the red van or knows the man in the sketch, from walking into a police station.
They're just too scared to talk. So, what does this all mean? Can an AI algorithm or a scientifically aged photograph really find a missing child? Or is this just a sign of a police force that has completely exhausted its physical leads?
It raises an important question about the limits of technology. I mean, AI cannot physically knock on a door in Nevada and rescue a child.
Right.
It is only as good as the data it is fed. It is a sophisticated tool designed to generate leads, not a substitute for the grueling legwork of a human detective.
It's an assistant, not the boss.
Precisely. But in a case utterly starved for physical evidence, it might be the only mechanism capable of finding that one missing puzzle piece.
It really is a devastating, complex reality. To sum it all up for you listening, today we've looked at a 10-minute window that changed a family forever, driven by a geographical blind spot.
A totally preventable blind spot, but a devastating one.
We've examined the neuroscience of memory and how it generates conflicting evidence like phantom red vans and orange-shoed suspects.
We confabulate to fill the gaps.
Exactly. We've discussed the intense, statistically blind public vilification of a young mother, and we've explored the sophisticated technological push using neural networks and craniofacial mapping to finally bring Dulce home.
It is a profound look at how a single tragedy ripples outward, overwhelming the human brain, dividing a community, and ultimately forcing us to rely on machines to find the truth.
So next time you're at a local park, take a second. Look around. Notice the sight lines.
Pay attention.
Notice the hills, the trees, and the buildings. Notice how quickly a child can slip behind a structure. And honestly, ask yourself how observant you actually are of the strangers passing by you right now.
Most of us aren't observant at all.
Right. If a police officer asked you to describe the shoes of the person sitting on the next bench, could you do it, or would your brain just invent a detail?
It's a sobering exercise in human limitation.
And I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder, something that builds on everything we've talked about with the internet sleuths and the mother. Consider the 3-year-old brother, Manuel. He was the only witness. He was entirely nonverbal that day. But as he grows up, as he regains his voice and becomes a teenager, he will inevitably navigate a digital world where his mother's actions from that single afternoon are permanently archived.
Ah.
They're endlessly debated and criminalized by thousands of amateur detectives.
He will inherit a permanent, searchable digital footprint of his family's worst day.
Exactly. How will the true crime internet's permanent, unforgiving record ultimately impact the psychological survival of the very children they claim to be advocating for?